Welcome to another episode of You and the Law. Remember, in the last episode, we discussed about the right to fair hearing as contained in Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, in the last episode, we discussed in details the 12 subsections of Section 36. We also traced back the history of the right to fair hearing to its scriptural background, and we trust the episode left a good taste in your mouth. This episode, we're looking at Section 37 of the 1999 Constitution, which relates to the right to privacy. Section 37 makes it very clear that the privacy of a citizen, the privacy of his home, the privacy of his telephone conversations, and his telegraphic communications are guaranteed and protected. These are the exact words used by Section 37 of the 1999 Constitution. Now, there's a subtle difference in comparison, in distinction with Section 36 that we discussed in the last episode. Section 36 used the term every person. It says, every person whose civil right or obligation is being determined is entitled to fair hearing. Section 37 is talking about every citizen, the privacy of a citizen. Now, a person is different from a citizen. A person includes an alien, a foreigner resident in Nigeria. But a citizen is, of course, Section 30 of the Constitution defines who a citizen of Nigeria is. So the right contained in Section 37 is only amenable, is only enjoyable by persons who are citizens of Nigeria. Now, it protects and it guarantees their privacy. The privacy also extends to their homes. It extends to their telephone conversations. It also extends to their telegraphic communications. Now, this is one of the least litigated rights in the Constitution. Very few court cases have its foundations in the right to privacy as contained in Section 37, and we'll have to make recourse to the experiences abroad, what other countries have experienced in relation to the right to privacy. Now, it was a one-time Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, Louis Brandeis, in explaining the right to privacy, he said, it's a person's right to be let alone. A person's right to be let alone. A person's right to have his own private space. A person's right to have his own private corner where he decides what goes out or what stays in there. Now, the right to privacy throws up a lot of issues, especially in the era of terrorism. Now, the world globally, the world is facing a serious challenge of incursion of terrorism. We hear about the Boko Haram, we hear about other the Al-Qaeda, a lot of other foreign terrorist groups. And because of the actions and the mayhem unleashed by these terrorist groups, governments across the globe have been looking at how to gather intelligence, how to gather information ahead of time, so that the actions and the violence intended by these terrorists could be nipped in the bud. Now, these are all genuine concerns. While the private citizen wants to keep his privacy, the government, in its counter-terrorism measures, want to also have in its bosom important information to confront the fight, to confront terrorists in their fight against security and the peace in our countries. Now again, another challenge that has thrown up the issue of privacy is the issue of cybercrime. Now of course, this is an information age, and information is power. And of course, whoever has the information has the power. And now we are in an age where information is circulating. Almost the whole world is hooked onto Facebook. We are all on social media. We are all answering phones. Everybody's covered almost in the telephone, the innovation, the telephone innovation, which means there's avenue for, of course, intrusion, technological intrusion, where government, they have avenue to look into, not just government this time, but businesses also. They have the opportunity to look into what's happening in our private lives and tenure whatever, targets whatever their policies are or whatever their businesses are at our peculiar tastes. So for instance, in fighting terrorism, the government, of course, we've heard stories of where people's telephone lines are bugged, where they tap a lot of information, and again, we know that this is, especially in Nigeria, we have the National Identity Management Commission. They are collecting data from all Nigerians. In fact, this Section 10 of the Act makes it a crime not to give them your information. They are receiving private information. Now, every individual, every citizen has his information or should have his information in the database of the National Identity Management Commission. We also have the Central Bank of Nigeria under their bank verification number. They are requiring every banker, every person who must have an account in a bank, to provide certain information. These information are still hanging there. If you want to process your international passport, the Immigration Service also requires a certain data from you. They will take your fingerprints, take a lot of data from you. Again, even the Federal Road Safety, if you want to process your driving license, they also require a lot of information from you. Now, what measures are being taken to make sure that this information being received by these disparate agencies do not get into the wrong hands? That's the concern of the right to privacy. The right to privacy is concerned about making sure that information that should stay private stays private. And only on justifiable grounds could information go to other hands. And now the problem in this area is that Nigeria has tended to be behind. They have been following instead of being in the forefront and making sure that policies are developed to make sure that people's data don't fall into the wrong hands. Of course, we've had situations where a second-hand laptop was bought, and the laptop was the laptop used in capturing data. And the laptop now had the information of all the persons that were collected from that capturing center. Now, that throws up other issues now. People's phone number, people's details could fall into the wrong hands. Now, since 2016, there has been moves to promulgate the data protection law, the data protection act, but up till today, we still don't have it. Now, we had the case of the National Information Technology Development Agency against Truecaller, where information got into the wrong hands. Even globally, we heard about the Cambridge Analytica case, where people during the 2016 American elections, it was alleged that this data processing company, used data from Facebook to target political advertisements at people who needed them. Now, these things are happening every day. Everybody has always been, everybody's, of course, receiving unsolicited text messages. Now, how does your number fall into the hands of these businesses that send you unsolicited messages? In relation to these unsolicited messages, at least we have two cases in Nigeria. There is Godfrey Eneye and MTN, where MTN somehow managed to, information about Godfrey Eneye slipped through MTN into a private organization who was now sending Godfrey Eneye unsolicited messages. Godfrey Eneye sued MTN, and the court found as a fact that MTN should have handled the data in such a way that the information should not get into a third party's hand. And a damages of 5 million naira was awarded in favor of Godfrey Eneye. Again, there was this case of Ezugwanene, Barrister Ezugwanene and Airtel Nigeria. In that case, the same thing happened, but with relation to Airtel. And the court also gave Barrister Ezugwanene 5 million naira damages. We appreciate the efforts from the court, but we also understand that the efforts of the court cannot properly and completely protect the right to privacy of Nigerian citizens, there's a need for the Data Protection Act and data protection instruments all across the country, in states and the nationwide, so that as we move in the information age, there will be laws to protect unwary citizens and, of course, law-abiding citizens from incursion and from a lot of threats that happens in the cyberspace and the information state. And we thank you again for joining us in this episode, and we enjoin you to also subscribe to this channel and tune in for the next episode. Thank you very much.